No. No, it's more just that. Okay, so. Just about ready. Yeah, almost there. Let me know because I like to start my meetings advertising. Before you're ready. No, the agenda, right? No, it's more just that. Okay, so I'm just about ready. Yeah, almost there. Let me know because I like to start my meetings advertising. The agenda.
We're just making sure the live stream is coming out. Yes, there you go. Okay, yes. Thank you. We're ready.
You ready? Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 13th, Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustees.
Diane, you're muted.
It's not picking it from here. In the room. You don't want me to talk on my computer. Right, that's true.
You're right. Okay.
Go ahead.
You're good. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. I mean, a panic there for a moment. So welcome to our meeting. I'm going to start with the roll call. Elizabeth, if you can go through that for us.
Sure. Andrew Brecker, Anna Eddy,
Here.
Colleen Crook,
Here.
Leanne Mankey,
Here.
Maureen O'Connor Lyons,
Here.
Scott McBride, Christine Shushin,
Here.
Diane Stam, here, Iris Larson, Neil Ryan, Fiona York.
Fiona is arriving late. She has a conflict, so she'll get here as soon as she can.
Sheila Rowell,
Here.
and David Nagel.
Here.
That concludes roll.
Thank you. Okay, so next is public participation. I don't see anybody in the room. Do we have anybody online? No. Okay.
No.
Then we'll move quickly on to town council liaison. Dave.
Yes, I think one thing is of most importance and related to the library is that at a recent meeting, Karen Braverman has resigned the council for personal reasons, and her replacement was appointed at a special meeting, and that's Carol Anst. Carol Anst did not run for re-election, and she submitted her name to be considered and was found to be the person to be appointed by the council at a special meeting. So she will serve out the rest of the term that Sharon had.
Including liaisons?
That was my next question, because I'm on different committees and I never know who's the liaison on the other side. Is Sharon the liaison for the library? I don't know what they're going to do. I assume Carol has been sworn in or will be sworn in by the council meeting. It's up to the other party to determine whether she will serve then or whether someone else on the Democratic side will serve as
That's not a council decision. That's a
no,
committee
no,
decision.
it's voted on by the council, but it
Mhm.
is what's proposed by the Democratic.
Well, we look forward to whoever the Democratic liaison will be.
It'll be
for our
free people.
library. There you go. So we look forward to that. That'll be nice. But that's great. Appreciate that update. Then can we just state again, the budget? The library, is it Saturday?
It's Saturday, it's the 25th, yes,
225, right?
yes.
And it's
March
No, it was
25.
March.
March 25. the council hasn't received anything in terms of the budget, whatever, from the town manager. That won't happen until around the 1st of March. And then meetings will be planned later on. I believe, I think I said our previous meeting, that the 25th is that morning on Saturday, that you will be. It'll be going over what you presented for a budget at that time.
Dave, I have a question. The permanent building committee, I know there's one person appointed. Have there been any more appointments?
No,
And is that person the chairperson or just a member?
there is a member there. I don't think they decided on chairperson yet. It's been a while since the subject has come up. I know one other person was going to be added to the list. I don't remember whether it has come before the council yet. But I heard,
That's 3 from town manager referrals and 1 from each party.
yes,
Have any come forward from the parties, or is this referral from the town manager, the one who's already on?
one is from the party and one is from the town manager, I believe. I don't know if anyone knows.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's 2 people that have been appointed.
Well,
Yeah.
one hasn't been officially.
My understanding that one has and one,
Is
I don't know if it's come before or not. It's been, as I said, it's been over. I know it's been longer than that. That's why you keep asking the question.
Thank you for bringing the video. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any other questions for Dave? No. All right, secretary's report. Iris Larson is out. There is no report.
I have one thing.
You have one thing for the secretary? Thank you. Thank you, Maureen.
I sent a card, a sympathy card, to the Crossway family from the board of directors.
So for those of you who may be newer members to the board, Paul Crossway is a former board member to our library, and so for many years. He was on the board back when we bought the properties, right? Yes, a while ago, so.
And he was
Very
very
nice.
treasurer
Yeah. Right there, isn't it, too?
and VP, right? Yeah, he passed away recently. And,
Nice man.
okay.
Thank you, Maureen, for that.
Yeah.
Okay, next up would be approval of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Does anybody have any updates and changes? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. William, second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. That's pretty quick. I get all excited to start tonight and then it jumps in process.
Should I better?
So excited, all right. So activities calendar, we'll go through that. It is February and it's at the 5K race. So of course, you know that we had our 5K meeting that's previous to this one and things are moving along. We're excited to welcome a new supporter to the race. And the library budget we just discussed, it's been admitted to the town and now the town manager will bring it to town council and there's a meeting in March for that. We have PEP collect director evaluations from trustees, but we've changed that around a little bit. So I think we're just sending it out now.
Yeah.
And we changed the calendar. So only you and I should probably, I would appreciate if you would send it straight on that. Anna, you have a question?
I do, I did see Pauline's email with the. But it would be nice if there had been certain copies for tonight to pick up.
I
Or that just for review, I didn't.
what was. I was sick all last week, so on the 6th, I had sent in to the library to have it put in with the parcel and other stuff. And somehow it didn't get through. So this afternoon, I discovered it wasn't in with the packet. So I sent in my copies of everything we have to look at
Is that for review or is that for us to complete?
for to complete.
Okay, so what I'm asking is. You know,
I didn't have any extra time or
you didn't ask anybody to make copies? Okay.
I did it in the sixth, but it didn't get done, so.
So, I'm sure you'll go over it during that meeting.
Thank you.
All right, that's what I have under the, February activity calendar that we go through. So from there, we'll move on to the treasurer's report, you know, Maggie? Hey, January, looks real good, the receipts from the, sponsorships are coming in very well. We're in pretty good shape, and obviously anticipating kudos in April is huge, so that's really great. Our balance on the unrestricted funds in the checking account is $50,892.58. We have done a number of purchases, in terms of, restricted funds, so those were taken out. Everything has been reimbursed at this point. The money market, Kingston non-investment account. We met with, as Neil had reported last month, we met with our investment. We were meeting with our investment, advisor, and, that account is going to be moved into some better vehicles for short-term gains, like CDs and things like that. They're working with that. That's at 106, 829. And the money market restricted funds at Santander, which is just our money, our restricted funds, which are accessible for programming and things like that, is at $40,722.67. We've done several things. February has been very busy since this January 31 date. We have purchased the ukuleles, which are now part of the collection. And we also had the sleeve offer event come for the 3rd and 4th grade, or actually it was remote, 3rd and 4th graders in town had the event, as well as the sleeve family purchased books for the classrooms as well. So I mean, it was a very good event from my understanding. It all came together all right last week. So, so that was this week as well. In addition, I had notified you a few months ago that we were the beneficiaries of a legacy from Janice Burrell, and her estate is going to probate currently, and last week, or no, the end of the last, we received the first disbursement check. There'll be a smaller one when they settle probate. But we are the recipients in terms of unrestricted funds, which is huge. That means we have some latitude as to what we do with the funds for $121,045.02. And that's going to go to the money market, non-investment account in Kingston. We're in the process of moving those funds around right now so that those can be put in, and that really gives us a lot more flexibility in terms of unrestricted funds. So certainly we appreciate that. Also, there was the restricted, unrestricted funds breakdown. Obviously doesn't include that because that was received in February, but we're in decent shape, and certainly requests like that, legacy requests like that are hugely beneficial to us. So, as you know, Hannah stumps on it. That's a perfect example of what comes out of things like that. So
You never know.
that's right. Well, and that's the thing when somebody, if you should get into a conversation with somebody and they want to donate to the library, we love the thought that it's unrestricted funds, because then we can put it to what is most needed at that time. So it could be that, you know, right now we need to support, say, a children's reading program, but maybe 2 years from now, when somebody's donating, we've already got the children's reading program set up, and now we're looking to fund some other things that the budget is not covering, or you know, whether it's ukuleles or anything else that's coming through, different things that the library is trying to do, maybe some technology and things like that. So unrestricted, if anybody ever asks, yes, thank you, we would love to take a donation. And we would just like it to be unrestricted so that it can go where the board or the library has a need at that point. So that's just the difference. A restricted fund, for instance, would be our annual funds, right? It's for our cultural.
Yeah, the Hanel is a fund that really has parameters that we must utilize in terms of cultural events. Dictated typically 2 times a year. We play around with the timing because of COVID or the anniversary or whatever, but that, it has specific uses. Same with like the Polino Book Fund, it's right there in the name. Then we have some other funds that are a little more fluid, memorial, then there's the programming funds and things like that. But if you can only use this on programming, you really need to do something over here that it doesn't have a name on it. It's nice to get the funds. Very nice. And that's it.
Right, thank you. Any questions for Leanne Treasurer's report? Is there anyone online? No? Okay, so I can enjoy that screen for now. I'm constantly trying to do this in a meeting, so. I'll go back the old fashioned way, it's just everybody in the room, isn't it? So, next up would be library director's report, Lisa Masson.
So the SLEPA event was last Friday, and I was talking to Bailey about it today. And she says she's in love with his new author because his name was
Dan Santa?
George. Yeah, oh no, you're right, I'm sorry, Dan Santa, he's a, it was virtual, so all the 3rd and 4th graders in town were able to see him live. And he's an illustrator author, and he actually illustrated for Mo Willems, do you know the pigeon books for children? He's done some of the illustrations for that, but she said he was so engaging with the students, and he's the nicest person, and she said that the sisters loved him because he had a lot of humor like you see in Toy Story, where there's stuff that adults get, the kids might not, but it's still funny, and we think it's really funny, and he had a lot just geared towards the children, so she said it was just wonderful. And Joan Brigham, the sister, the surviving sister, was there with Bailey watching it, and she just loved the program, so that was nice as well, because she's the one that gave the extra money to purchase the books for the classrooms. The weekend of that really cold weekend that we had, a pipe burst in a men's bathroom on Saturday. So that was kind of a drag, because luckily it burst in the bathroom, honestly, because of all places for it to break, at least you're in a tile. But the pipes were frozen Saturday morning, and they didn't burst until 4 in the afternoon when they started to thaw out. So facilities worked on it all day. They did a great job, and they're trying to come up with better solutions so for the future.
Didn't the paper in there, like,
No, the last pipe that burst, and I remember this because I was here too. Was between the 2 doors. They have a heater in there.
okay,
So they pulled out the actual kind of piping that was there, and I think they redirected it, and they put a heater in there. So it's actually very nice now when you walk in. Remember, it used to blast you from above.
Yeah.
Now it's get you from the side. But there's a heater in the front closet that somehow went off. And that's would have helped, because the pipe froze from the hot water heater into the men's bathroom. And then I was at my desk I stayed because we knew the pipes were frozen. They come running in, and they said, "There's a problem in the men's room." And I walk in, and this water is just gushing down. I was like, "Oh my God." They showed me where to turn off the water. So
I think a lot of people in New England have that.
yeah.
I did.
So anyway, that was fun. And then they started the repair on the ceiling in the magazine room today. So that room is closed off for the next week. So they what they did today is they peeled off all the yucky damage from the water leak, and they're putting new layers of plaster. So that's going to take 4 days. They're hoping to get all of that done, and then painting hopefully on Friday, and then it will be open Monday. And we'll be done with all our repairs from.
So the leak didn't damage the curtains at all, did it?
We wish. We had the Take Your Child to Library Day. I think Fiona had mentioned that. I don't know if it's an event. It's a Connecticut Library Association, right? Isn't it their event? So it's statewide, and they encourage people to bring your kids to the library. We had 100 kids come on Saturday, the day of the leak, by the way, just so you know. So that was fun too.
Of
There's, everything happened at once. And the summer reading programs kicked off. The adult
winter.
I mean, winter, I keep saying summer, hopeful, right? The adult program kicked off on the 24th of January, and we had 185 adults come to register, and they had another 25 to register online. That was day one, so that was really good. The kids and the teen was on the day before the major league, right? Yes, it was, just so you know, day before. But they did it on a Friday night, and they actually had a life-size candy lane game in the library throughout the whole first floor that the kids could play. And I guess it was really fun, and people had a great time. So they're everything, the children's program, the teen program, they have to register online, but we can also print out the activity in sheets that they have to do, and then the adults, they can do it either way. And the programs, and we end March 3rd, and the children's and teens ends March 4th. That's all funded by the Friends, by the way. They do their reading programs. The town has a new town planner, whose name is Paul Dixon. You met Paul.
I did.
I was not in the office when he came up. Dixon. So they're still looking for a town engineer. I know that's still, that position is still open. And just finally, they are continuing with their school visits, and they're still doing Patterson, right? And they're doing about 250 students a month of school visits. That's a lot. I mean, because they come in first thing in the morning. Most of them are very happy to be here, and we all wave at them. We have a welcoming committee, but they do a program for them, and they show them around. And they've been working with teachers to get these children's library cards. So we send the forms. Karen's been doing that. We send the forms to the classrooms, so the teachers can have, the parents will know in advance. And we're sending them back to the classrooms and stuff like that as well. So we've actually gotten quite a few. How many did we have last month? It was 71 cards for 72 students. So that was nice.
A lot of paperwork.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's also the only way you're getting it done. I mean, because the teachers are getting involved and they're helping us. So, and it really benefits them, because the kids are very excited when they come to have their own card and to check out their own book. And they also can use the digital materials from home now too. So it's a nice plus for everybody. And I think that's all I have.
Can I just make one comment, and it's really irrespective, but I had a meeting at my church tonight before I come here, and the pastor is relatively new. And he's from the New Haven area. Anyway, he got a library card, and he knew I was coming here after our meeting. And he was very impressed with the Newington Library. He came in and he was just very impressed, and he's very pleased about all the digital offerings and everything, so. That's a nice thing to hear, unsolicited.
Thank you for sharing. That's nice.
Yeah, so.
We had no doubt we were impressed. That's very nice. And by we, I mean.
No, he
I
was
was sad.
very impressed.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments on this report? No, all right, we'll move right along. Karen Benner, Assistant Director.
So we have something exciting going on for staff. We are in the process of getting new computers. So IT is, yes, it's exciting. A little nerve-wracking, is, as they term it, deploying the computers in pieces. But the interesting thing about it is many of us are getting laptops with docking stations with dual monitors. So Lisa, myself, and a couple of others are testing things out right now. And then that's going to get rolled out later this week. And then at the public desks, we're going to have desktop computers there. So
They don't walk as easily.
what's that?
They don't walk as easily.
They don't walk as easily, but it really,
Laptop means that you can take your work home with you.
exactly, exactly. But boy, I'll tell you, for those of you who have work on double screens, what a difference, already it's,
Easier.
yeah, so that's really gonna help us, I think, work more efficiently and stuff, so.
It also saves on paper. I moved to double screens and,
Yeah, you don't have to print out stuff to do that.
when you're trying to compare something or do anything else or make changes, it's wonderful.
Well, the nice thing for us too is that it's more seamless when we take our laptop home to connect to our work computer, you know, the work. The Esther, well, we call it the Esther, you don't care about that, but it's really cumbersome now to do it. And we're gonna be able to log in pretty easily from home now, which is really nice as well.
So it's a big deal for us. We hosted a new program at the end of January called 2023 Book Tasting, where we talked about 50 different new books that we're excited about coming out in 2023. And we used the OWL system and did a hybrid program, and we had a really good turnout, and about half the people were online and half were in the room, so it was good. I think we'll continue down that road and start to use the system a little bit more with doing some hybrid programming. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention is about our hotspots. So I think we had maybe mentioned this at the last meeting, that we were funded, we have the 10 circulating hotspots. The grant from Hartford Foundation for Public Giving was funding them. That grant ran out in December. We can't afford to continue to fund all 10 of those. So we have cut back to 5 circulating hotspots, with one hopefully for staff. There is a real demand for these hotspots. I don't think we have anything in the drawer right now, or at least we didn't as of last Saturday. So just informational purposes, we're, hoping to maybe be able to, build that back up at some point. But, it's a monthly fee. Each hotspot is, I think, $22.99.
Yeah, the difference between the 10 and the 6 is about $100 a month. Which since December, or actually like November, December, when the funds from the Hartford from the grant ran out, we have been funding through our, paying. And now with this change, it's dropped down to $232 a month versus 300 plus.
Right.
So it's a case of because all those fees don't change, the base fees. It's just a matter of adding devices. My suggestion would be, if this is something that's in demand, we should consider continually funding it. We have the machines, the devices are here, it's just a case of putting the subscriptions in place. So I think we should consider that as a board, continuing to fund it. It would probably be in the realm of about $1,200 a year. Additional than what we're already doing.
But what would, if we found a sponsor to cover it for the year, what would that be?
Well, it would be somewhere in the realm of $330, $350 a month. Is the whole.
$350 a month times 12. Okay.
You're talking like 1900, something like that. Don't ask me to do that right now. My brain isn't working.
350 times 12.
My brain isn't working right now.
That'd be
$3,600.
4,000.
Somewhere
around there.
So what you got is pocket brain.
$4,200.
So I mean, right now we are putting the bill for approximately 3,000 of that.
So I'm thinking, maybe there are some businesses out there that would like to see their name promoted through the library year round, and not just like connected to a 5K race that happens one day. If we could, theoretically get 4 sponsors.
Either that or it's the,
I mean,
the Smith and Jones Wi-Fi program or whatever, and when they pick it out, hotspot program.
Or it could be funded by the library board of trustees.
Right. So I
It
mean,
could be funded by the legacy.
Oh.
Do that.
yeah, well, that's one,
How's that? that would be a great way to do that.
But I think we should consider it, whether we have a sponsorship or not, there's a need. And
So
or a
all
demand
10
for
have
it.
been taken out on a regular basis. Yeah, and now that we have 5, there's, if
Intention.
well, there, you can place holds on them, correct? But they're not, we don't have them available, if someone were to come in easily.
Well, so shouldn't we move forward on that? Can somebody make a motion to do that?
Well, have we figured out what our motion is gonna be, and what did you just mention for our legacy society, you want to come up?
Well,
with-
I mean, we could certainly make a motion to fund it for now until we can,
This would be something to sell as a sponsorship.
yeah. That we either sell it as a sponsorship. Or we use it as a marketing tool to recruit more individuals to donate on a monthly basis, because what we're looking at is $350 a month. Right now, in the legacy, we have $35, so we need, that's what's recurring every month. So now we just need to get, a few more people to bring it up to $350 a month.
And that's the perpetual legacy society.
Yeah. People sign up for X number of dollars for 12 months, we would know what's covered.
I mean, I just personally, I mean, I know I'm treasurer, so I don't know if I should, but I would like to put forward a motion that we as a board will continue to fund 10 devices in terms of the hotspot subscriptions.
Until
We can get somebody on board to, I mean, there's nothing that says that we can't move the name. But the funding is there and the devices are out there to meet the demand.
Right. Because the library needs, and moving forward with the expansion, I think we should do something like that. To put it out there, that these things are being done.
Yeah.
So,
And I think until such time when they see your name out there, I mean, it's nice to get that separation from the friends too, and the trustees. Cause they see your name on the race form, but then they don't see it a lot otherwise. And have that
So
distinction,
we could co-sponsor it with someone, you
right?
know, the legacy.
So, or if it goes through the legacy, it could be the board of trustees or board of trustees legacy.
Yeah, exactly, whatever you want to use.
It's still how the name comes through, right?
Library board.
so the friends paying for the 5 or, I didn't get, so is.
We are.
We are, oh, already,
Yeah,
We're already paid for that.
so we're just picking it up.
yeah,
Right.
the rest.
So did you make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we fund all 10 devices. For the hotspots
From library board.
from library board funds. Any questions? Any thoughts? Discussion?
I'll make a second to that motion. Anna,
We have a second, okay? I'm still gonna give a moment for questions or thoughts. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
do we want to qualify that and say that the board is funding it until the time as we deem otherwise?
No, because we can get a sponsorship of it, come in and change it then.
Just because we voted that we're doing it, doesn't mean that we can't vote that we're not doing it with that.
Okay.
Somebody else is coming to.
I don't know.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion? We did.
We do that.
Opposed? Unanimous, carries forward. Thank you.
That's great. Go for it.
I need stickers on those hotspots. I'm serious, I think we need brought to you by the board of trustees.
We can do that. There you go.
Thank you. So now you'll have to deal with Sprint, Karen.
That's great. More to your report?
No, oh, I'm done, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's great, I just didn't. Didn't want to think that we got carried away and cut you off, thank you, Karen. Next report is Friends of the Library with Sheila.
We've been kind of busy, the last couple of months. We went on the Winter Fest. We got a lot of positive feedback on that. We made about $11,000, which is about equal to what was made, before the pandemic.
Really?
Even though we had one substantial donation, right? So.
Oh, so there was one large donation that was just a straight up donation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Straight up donation.
I know.
And so.
That's kind of actually, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we will, had some meetings afterwards to look and see if there's other things we can do, just right off the volunteers to, look at the feedback that we had from people. But everyone seemed to be pretty happy and everybody was dancing and, enjoying things. We're working on the book sale. We put out some reminders to people, we're looking for people to help with the sorting and packing downstairs. We're also talking about whether or not we want maybe a couple of Sunday afternoons in March to have donation days. And just have some people out in the back of the bins and let's see if we can, we've already sent out some stuff saying, if you're doing spring cleaning and you want to, get rid of all those books in your bookcase, this is the place to do it. So we're going forward on that one. And Friends Corner is doing really well. I think we did $500.
Yeah.
For January, just out of that. So that's looking well as well.
I have a question about the Friends Corner. And maybe I'm just missing it. Are you going to be ordering and selling the note cards? The library note cards?
I can't, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, I don't know, if I probably not unless they want to do, are you looking for some?
Well, I always use them.
Well, we have some, but we use them too for thank yous, and they don't have as many, they don't have a lot left, and they've taken a long time to sell, and I don't think they'd be
Oh, so they're not going to be.
done about right now.
Hot items for.
Yeah. But if you need some, we have some. Okay.
What about that large donation of books? What's the status of that?
Sorted.
We got it all, we get it all here. I know that was a,
Yeah.
how do we get it here?
So, there was
Yeah.
a book seller. Yeah, sorry, Anna missed that. She must have missed the meeting that we talked about, it, but there was a former book seller.
She had a bookstore somewhere near Willimantic. And she had all the books, when she closed the bookstore, she moved them all into her house, which was a very interesting place. She estimated about 5,000 books.
Oh, my God.
And we did 2 trips down there. To pick what she wanted to donate them because she was coming, she has just moved to Newington. To live with her fiance, but she's going to school and she couldn't bring the books and et cetera, et cetera. And she wanted to donate them to the library in the town she was going to be living in.
That's nice.
So which was very nice, very interesting lady. And, we got them all here. Some of them are very, very old, falling apart, not valuable, I would say probably 25% of them we weren't able to. But the rest of them, she has a wide variety. So they're all sorted up and
There were collections too, right? Like
they're collections, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like an interesting book sale. Yeah, we've got a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of interesting old sets, I mean, the dealers kind of really like.
Great.
So,
Great, super.
so that's where we stand
Well,
right now.
congratulations on all that hard work. It looks like it's paying off for you. Super. Any other questions for Sheila, friends? All right, thank you. Next, we'll move on to committee reports, budget, Maureen. Oh, sorry.
It's all right, she can have it.
Dan, budget.
We went over to the town hall and met with the town manager and finance and went over the budget and we argued pretty hard about putting the funds back into place for that teen librarian. And tough budget year, as Dave can attest to, as every year is tough, but they're looking for funds everywhere, but we made the case for why this is important. That game night, or the night, rather, the program night that they had is an example of it, and all the programs that are outlined in the directors and assistant directors reports about what's been going forward. So
hopefully that will remain in place for the recommended budget. And, turn it over to these two ladies for the specifics of it. They're the ones who did the nitty gritty, but. I just went in and talked.
She was talking about. So, yeah, the budget basically was, if we didn't include the team position, we actually would have, there was an increase, but it was all contractual raises through ASME and things like that, or approved raises from the town manager. So our non-payroll items, we actually had a slight decrease. So we gave them we sort of were talking about why we needed the position. It's not just collaboration with school, that's a huge part of it, certainly. It's also teens, doing stuff for teens in the library here, because we want to do more for teens in town. It's also about looking at the responsibility the teen librarian has just to maintain the collection, to have a nice varied collection that the teens want to read, that the teachers can refer them to. And it's like without the teen position, we're down 35 hours a week of, having a person in the building. So we're actually down 2 full-time positions, which is 70 hours a week. So just the impact, it's like a ripple effect without this person here, but we were trying to explain, what it wasn't just the schools. That's a huge part, but there's so many other pieces as to why it's important. And, we just really want to reach the teens. We're doing such a good job reaching the younger students, and you want to keep them. And if you don't have that person that can go into the high schools or that can offer the programs to get them here, you're losing them. And we just want to offer something for teens in town. I think that there's not a lot for them to do after school or even at night, and we're not doing what we could do because we don't have the staffing anymore to do it. Children's helps out, but that they have a lot of programming going on right now. So we have a Bailey actually wrote up she used to be the teen librarian, and she wrote up a list of all the collaboration that they are doing, that they've been asked to do, that they actually can't do. And in fact, one of the someone from one of the middle schools kind of made the assumption that we weren't doing it because we wanted to focus on younger kids and literacy. And we're like, no, that's not why. We just don't have the staffing to do it like we want to. So we have a list of all of the school collaborations, but also Bailey did a really nice job of listing like all the different things that the teen librarian does. So actually I'll email it out to all of you so you can see it as well. And I can email it to you as well, David, if you'd like to see
Can I
that.
ask you?
Yeah,
Please.
but so that that was what we talked about somewhat too, but I know it's a tough budget year as well, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, and then just a reminder that budget meeting, with the town is March 25th, Saturday.
Yes.
9 o'clock. 9.
Okay, any other questions for budget? No, we'll move on to PEP, Polly.
Okay, the problem with the library director conferences is because we haven't been able to tie in with a supervisor who has guaranteed a specific date in order to do an evaluation for a library director, right, basically, and for us to get reported. So this year, it will be starting in February. So given a piece of paper that gives what's happening each month. So February, March, April, and May. May would be the time that I would provide a report. Yeah, everything. And because it's weird this year, we're going to be doing another one for December of 2023. So that's our September, October, November, December. We're going to be doing the report in December.
And that will be the cycle going forward.
Correct.
So this will be an off year.
This will be a really off year.
Well, and that's just because as, the position has changed hands, the timing has changed hands, and we're always playing catch up.
Right,
So-
So what was sent by email were the 2 revised calendars And that went out this afternoon. And also the library director competency. That's what we're going to be using. If anyone, and I know, Scott, you haven't done this before. I'm gonna be talking to you about how to fill it out. Basically, just print out what you've got in the mail. If there's any problems, I don't think that we revised it in 2020. So unless there's some kind of really odd question that doesn't apply anymore, and I've looked it over and it doesn't seem like there's anything. Then you can give me an email. We can take that particular question off and then we can rewrite it for the new year. For September. Basically, with the form, if you're new, you probably can't fill it out very well because you don't know the librarians that well. What you do is you fill out what you can, and NA for those questions you don't know how to answer. You can't answer what you don't know. And we'll get back. I will get the stuff back next month from you guys, and I'll start tabulating and we'll start working on it.
So you're going to tabulate in May and submit.
Yeah.
To the town
Manager,
manager.
hopefully we'll have a definite on the town manager, and if not, we'll.
And does the interim have the authority to do the evaluations for the town department?
Probably, but I don't know if they're going to, I don't know. what they're gonna do.
We don't know.
When was the last time you had an evaluation?
I had one last year,
But-
yeah,
And
It was December, I think it was December. Because we were set to go for January, February, and everything just went. So this year, we're gonna at least try this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, we can't get it, if we don't have enough to work with, but I think, this report, should give us a handle on, you know, how beautiful our library is doing.
So you would like us to review them and fill them out and have them completed by, next month? So much, thank you. And the other documents?
Oh, that was the one before, that was just to give you a handle on what it was,
that's the only one.
that was the old one. And how it is.
You're looking more for the spreadsheet,
Right.
checkbox.
Okay, so this was, I never saw this, that's why
Right.
I never saw this time.
So that was just how it went from that, which we couldn't work with it, there wasn't enough information to do anything. And we went to the spreadsheet, which got more involved. But it just worked better. This is schedule. Is that, that's, yeah, this is schedule. So there should be two schedules, one for February, March, April, May, and the second schedule, September, October, November. And if someone didn't, just give me a call
I downloaded both and I'm looking at them.
Okay.
I print on both and they're both February.
Yeah.
and okay. So
Yeah,
because
it's not
I've been sick, so it could be, but I did do it, so it's just a matter of.
Well, it doesn't mean I didn't hit print on two.
You know, I got the same thing. So one of them was-
Yeah, so I did do it, so.
Okay, just like that.
Here, I will send out the new one for January.
Thought it was being out
Yeah.
So basically, we're covered
Yes,
when we're submitting this, whether it happens or not.
yeah.
The information is there.
There you go, bottom line, what do I have to do?
If it doesn't, no one wants to see it in May. But we've had a good
But
practice,
it,
Well, we have it,
yeah,
which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, because Lisa has the honor of reporting to two attachments, she reports to the town manager and to the library board.
and what I'll be doing is going through the policies and procedures, anything that has is 5 years of age and older, and I'll do that this month. To see whether or not there's anything that's really old, that either should be gotten rid of or. And then we'll have a policy and procedure tech meeting, and we will have fun.
Okay.
We will, of course. So that's it.
Well, I do know that have had an interview with a candidate and we're going to go into executive session. We tried to have executive session on here, but we got our wires crossed, so it's not on here. We can do that as an individual Zoom meeting to talk about the committee's impression of the interview. And go through that for people up to speed and see what's going on for that. I apologize for the wire crossing.
And that's for a corporate position.
Yeah, that's where we're doing. Okay. So, we usually discuss those things in executive session. So we'll just pull a Zoom meeting for that, and then in our next meeting, we will, share the end result was the decision to go forward or not.
And then just to refresh my memory, so we still have 2 town positions that need to be filled,
Republican positions are.
and they're both Republican. Okay.
I'm praying that. He does it all the time, he supports us all the time.
No reflection on days.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
All right. Hard to find out. So, any other questions for Pat? No? All right, we'll move on to investment committee. Neil is out. He did send the reports to us.
Yeah, we were up last month.
Yeah.
By about 38.3, which was nice to see, other than going down. Last year was such a roller coaster ride. I'm hoping of a little more stability. We did meet in January as an investment committee, and we're moving some funds around. We're moving some things out of Vanguard into BlackRock. We're still keeping that basic risk assessment of 60-40 in terms of moderate to aggressive. It's very different from what you do in your own personal. You're not planning for retirement 20 years out. You're planning for longevity, our organization. So we have some latitude in terms of what we invest in, because things shift, from month to month. It's not earth shattering. It's disappointing, but it's not earth shattering when things go a little awry. So we kind of as I mentioned in the treasury report, where we can move some monies into short-term vehicles that would generate a little bit more interest in terms of and the funds that we just received in the legacy are going to go into that funding, and Dean is working to evaluate that. So all in all, I am still very, very pleased with Kingston as our wealth management advisor. And I think that they have our interests, as a right there in the forefront, and they've done very well by us. It's particularly when you do an overall comparison over the years, we've had some steady growth. The market withstanding, we have done very well.
I think it was also determined at that time that we try to meet a little bit more often now that COVID.
Yes, yeah, we had kind of, meetings kind of went by the wayside, so now we're gonna do at least a couple times a year. And both Neil and I deal with him on the phone periodically, so if we had to, we could call.
Yeah.
Monthly.
You guys deal with them.
Yeah, that's a lot. So. Okay, any questions or thoughts on investment? No, good, thank you. Next up is House Committee. I did send out the updated spreadsheet, and I mentioned in my email about the leak that Lisa went over earlier. Again, we're kind of thankful that it's not in the tiled area and not necessarily in our collections area. And the town was very quick to respond to that. When you look through that spreadsheet, you'll see not only the items that we identified on our walkthrough. Actually, December, last December, but you'll also see who we think is responsible for fixing it, and then what happens
as we get closer to the spring months, you'll see more of those items being ticked off, for instance, less of the outdoor item. Will happen, in the winter. So I will keep you updated on those items as we go through. Next up, oh, sorry, anybody have questions for Diana? on those three? Okay. So, next up would be facility and site with Maureen.
The ongoing discussion about expansion, facility insight. The committee was charged with going to Leslie Berger and company for updating the design concept with the hopes of getting what we're calling, or what they call a lookbook, which is basically an abbreviated document, a pleasing document, not just a bunch of written words that we would use to plead our case with the town. So we met on January 26th, I believe. We had a virtual meeting with Leslie Berger and from Library Development Solutions, and Andrew Berman, who was the architect associated, who submitted all the original designs that we've seen. And what we asked for was, and this was all input from board members, changes to the design, streamline. We asked for some, for instance, the upper level, where there was the second floor, so much open space. We asked them to change that to, we felt there was some wasted space there. Yeah, we talked about they had skylights, and that would probably become solar panels now. There were a lot of there are changes that we requested. Again, it was consensus input from the board members, and what we impressed upon Leslie and Andrew, and they certainly understand it from,
Andrew Berman, the architect.
Andrew Berman, yes. Two Andrews, yeah. That this will still not be the final design. It's not the design, it's not something that we're gonna say, okay, this is what we're then going to show to the builder. And they're going to build it. But it's, and anybody who's been involved in a building of any sort, expansion, new building, even if you're adding to your home, things change. So what we're looking for is approval for monies to redo the design, create this lookbook. Leslie's part would be writing, she does the text, and she would write the text according to the design changes. Andrew and his associates would be resubmitting the changes, a design change, and
Architectural rendering.
a rendering. And again, a rendering, we all agree from the original design rendering that we loved that look, that initial look. It just grabbed us with the, the concept, the outside, the openness. But anyway, we received a quote from them. Leslie's piece would be a not to exceed 5,000 for her writing. And then Andrew's would not exceed 20, 19,900, I think. So, and then the final deliverables would include PDFs. They're not going to do any of the printing. They got a quote for printing. They're in New York City. And it was obviously much higher than what we could do locally. And we already have vendors that we work with, so that would make more sense. So they would, the deliverables would include the layout design for the actual logo. And this is all pending, of course, our approval. I mean, we have to see what they're giving us before we go to print. The PDF for digital viewing, there would be a PDF for posters. You know, we have several audiences. The main audience would be the town council and the town manager, you know, the town fathers and mothers, so to speak. But then we have our, you know, our patrons and the general citizenry. And, you know, it's not going to be a secret. We don't want to print thousands of lookbooks and hand them out to patrons, but we do need things, something for the patrons to look at. The lookbook would be, you know, a little more extensive, and that would be something we would be distributing to the council, to the town manager, using for one-on-one discussions, promoting our expansion. I think that that's a given. That's not a discussion that we need to have as far as do we want to do this or not want to do it. Yes, we do. We're looking forward to this for many years now. And I think we've reached a point where we can take it that one step further. But again, there's been a lot of discussion for several months about changes and what we really want, what we need, and this is the point that we're at. The architect has those changes. He's going to be incorporating them in a new design. We do have to give approval for everything for, you know, for our request. And Diane had sent an email out and then rescinded it. There was some discussion about where the funding would come from. I had quite an extensive conversation with James. And I had been given information previous to my speaking with him that there was a $15,000 cap that he could approve, you know, without congressional, you know, oversight. But it's actually $24,999, and it's per vendor. So there is money in the original allocation, the town allocation for the library expansion, that is still sitting there, so to speak. It's $60,000 or 60, a little over 60 some odd thousand. Right now, that's money designated for us. I mean, I suppose somebody could step in and whisk it away if something happened, but basically there is that money there. So for our purposes for the discussion today, that we are looking basically for $25,000. That, and again, two separate vendors, because Leslie is one entity and Andrew Berman, an associate, or whatever his legal title is another entity. So certainly that $24,999 would cover. His just skimming 20,000, and her Leslie's fees would not exceed 5,000. So the monies are there. James didn't see any issue with it if we, you know, made that request. Anecdotally, we had a very nice discussion, and he said that he's had inquiries from the town council, from members. Yeah, James has had inquiries and discussion about library expansion, so that it's not a dead issue. It's not just something that we're looking at. A lot of departments are looking for money for various reasons. The school board of ed, the fire department, parks and rec. Everybody's got their own projects and their own needs. I mean, we all know that parks and rec, for instance, there's a big move to change the whole pool situation across the street. And there was some discussion that was a little unnerving about moving the pool so that be on Garfield and basically in our parking lot. It's, but anyway, James doesn't think that's going to happen. He said there'll be a new pool, but there are other more viable locations that are being looked at. I mean, again, nothing is etched in stone or decided, but all these other people have projects, so if it's a matter of the town prioritizing and you know, you have to wait your turn, I guess, but we need to make an interesting and a good argument to the town as to not only why we need the expansion, and I think that's probably understood, it's an understanding, but to show them what it can be. And it's again, the reimagining, you know, and it's, you know, it's not, there are some pie in the sky things, you know, Andy wants a telescope on the roof. Well, that would be great. I mean, there are some places already that have that type of setup, whether it be a library or, you know, a school or something. But that may not be a priority, you know, we want to expand, we need, first and foremost, we need elbow room for staff, you know, we can't.
Can I interject with one point? So what we're looking at when the lookbook is done, we're trying to keep printing costs low. And, you know, as we said, we're trying to get a lookbook in front of town council and key stakeholders to get them inspired with the vision of what it could be, right? I think in the fall, as I had said in one of my emails, I think we were inspired by that look, right? It's not just gonna be more brick, a brick shoebox, you know, that extends out into the parking lot. We were able to see what kind of room we could get by going up. Not the perfect design, beautiful design, but if we can get those pictures, maybe on the front page, it would be the picture that you see at the second floor with all the windows, if you remember that. On the back page, it could be the picture of the back of the library where it shows that they've been able to preserve the original building, the look of that from Cedar Street, and yet how the new look goes, and then inside would be some schematics, floor plans, if you will, of what we could do with the square footage that we get by building up, what it would look like.
But the lookbook would also be an attractive piece. It's not just going to be a pretty front and back cover and then a blueprint
Right.
on the inside.
And inside there would be the information.
Right.
Again, it's not a full proposal. It's hey, Dave. Look what we're talking about. And here are some key points that we want to come across. So we're excited, right? You can see what a difference this would make for the town. This is, I'm picturing every one of us having a copy of the lookbook and maybe one or two to pass out to give to the town and everything else. I'm not looking to have this on the circulation desk, you know, the full book as a handout to everybody that walks into the library, but maybe having a poster board up, things like that. So what the last discussion is, and what we're looking for to move forward is, if the board agrees, to move forward on getting this rendition, it's not a final product, but a rendition together so that we have something, so that we can have meetings in town with key stakeholders and show them what we're talking about, because quite frankly, everybody's been talking about a library renovation for many, many, many years. And I think there's always been a lot of competition for town dollars, but it's without something like this. Why are we even talking about it? Because they're gonna say, oh yeah, then the library needs stuff. It's not gonna be, look at what the library can be.
And the board, and we've talked about this and we've all nodded our heads, we have to advocate as a group and individually. And it's not just grabbing that town councilor that you see in the grocery store or, you know, in the parking lot. It's something that we would have a point of discussion, you know, set up a meeting, you know. Dave, can we meet for an hour tomorrow afternoon or something like that. And, you know, talk to people. There's new council members. There are people that aren't as informed about the library.
I think we'd have to do a formal presentation to the town council.
Well, there would be a formal presentation, of course, but then we would have this tool to use.
Or as a
one-
thinking tank
one
for town
basis.
council, you know, this is what we've talked about, this is what's there.
Yeah, and something, you know, in the old town hall, they had the bulletin board, you know, with all the information. I always thought it was kind of interesting. You know, a place for us to leave something or to put a poster up, the same type we would have perhaps in the library. But I think it's important that the board understand the need for this. It's something that we've all asked for, and that we seriously consider, you know, allocating these funds so we can move forward with this. So, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about feet being dragged and interest waning and stuff, and this, we need this. So,
Would you like a motion?
well, I just think we should have some discussion first.
So can I ask a question just about if, I think that like, there's a couple things to know about the lookbook print, which obviously would be very dynamic. But we might be able to cut down on printing costs if we get a digital version as well. That would be shareable and make sure we own like the permit, like, do you know what I mean? Like we own that.
That would be one of the deliverables.
And it would look, so that was included, okay, so digital version that we could then maybe like post on the library page
Yeah.
or use in the presentation to the town council.
Yeah.
And that would cut down on the
What-
printing costs of
What Leslie and Andrew Berman give us becomes our property. That, you know, that as far as this project is concerned.
But as I'm sitting here looking outside, it would also be nice to have something that could slide through the digital TV and stuff like that too. So we want to make sure that it's not only something that fits here, fits other places. Well, we want to be able to get it out to the widest audience, so therefore you have to have different media.
Yeah, we get a PDF for printing and one for digital viewing.
Okay.
Anna, you had your hand up?
I did. I'm not sure what the breakdown is of that. $25,000. I mean, I know I read it. I know 5,000 goes to Leslie.
5,000 is Leslie.
That's Leslie.
Sorry. I was gonna tell you.
5,000 goes to Leslie, $20,000 goes to Andrew Berman. I don't know what the allocation is. Is that all for just his updated renderings? Because it just seems to me to spend $25,000 to come up with something that we're going to print, and we're doing the printing, they're not even doing the printing. It's a lot of money to impress 2 dozen people. I'm just saying. I mean, yes, they have to do an update to bring it up to the level that we want, but does it really gonna cost them? Take them 30 hours to change some drawings?
Yes.
I just think that it's a lot. I don't know that if a lookbook is what we need to give to the town council members as a takeaway. I mean, okay, so, thank you, Diane. And then that's where it goes.
Well,
I don't know, I'm just
saying that visually people need to see things.
Right.
And
I can say that when I went to that Anna Reynolds thing, when they were pushing, when the Board of Ed was pushing Anna Reynolds. They had all the town council members there, the superintendent, and I don't remember who else. They ran the show, they did a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. They did a walkthrough, everybody talked about it. They walked away with, I know I have a packet, but it wasn't anything fancy. It was from maybe copies of the PowerPoint slides. There wasn't, I'm sure they didn't spend $30,000 on a lookbook. And I mean, I know that it took them a couple of years to get the money, but. And there was probably some pressure from parents for the town council to act on it and do the updates, but. You know, that kind of money just wasn't spent. I said in that email that I sent out. So the Friends, being, what is it, transparent and doing annual reports was a big deal a few years back. So the Friends had this booklet, and I just came across it by chance. And it's on high quality paper. You open it up and here were the highlights. Here was a little graph about their financial information. And for them, what they did on the inside was list all their donors. But I mean, I think that this was a nice looking piece. It was. Well, and this is the Friends mission and everything, and the back is blank, but I mean, maybe, you know, maybe you can impress the town council with something more modest than a $25,000 lookbook.
My question lies that he prepared. An initial.
Artistic rendering.
Thank you, I just lost my train of thought. And if what he presented wasn't what we were looking for. Wouldn't you say these changes need to be made and he would do it for the amount of money in which he's paid? Instead of saying, I need $20,000 more to do that, when you didn't fulfill our requests to begin with?
No, it's not that he didn't fulfill our request, he did. And then people wanted changes. That was, he did what he was charged to do.
Okay,
Okay. This request, it's something new, you know, the board.
okay, so those, whatever,
Our original request
yes,
was to have him come on site. Find our property lines, I think you walked him through the whole area, find our property lines, see what was going on, listen to our needs.
Mhm.
And figure out how to make it in the space and the land that we own between the building. The surrounding lawn, our part of the parking lot, surrounding lawn, right? What is it that we need? What are the things that we're looking for? And that's when we got that first rendition from the architect back in the fall. That's also when we looked at it through, my gosh, this is amazing, but we're asking for more space. So to have a wide open atrium on the second floor, when what we're asking for is more space, is probably not the smartest thing we can do, knowing how hard it is to get back on the agenda since 1980 for renovation. So what can we do to still bring light into the building, but keep that as usable space? What can we do so that we're not getting the noise filtering from the second floor to the first floor down? So we need you to change that. It's not that he didn't deliver the first time, it's that his vision and what we see with the lens of what will work for us in our town is different. Right? Having skylights on the top adds more lighting. How many times have we, died with skylights? Now, he told us, and everybody will tell us, skylights are different now, it's this, that, and I said, yeah, but I would rather see solar panels there. I would like to see some give back from this.
And also, just as an aside, apparently there are several town buildings that are going to be having solar panels installed.
So-
This is, it's not just
But that-
specific to us.
But that's what I'm saying, is we asked him to say, tell us what it could look like and how we could fit these things in. And now we're tweaking that a little bit, and it's still not gonna be the end design. But I think we need some kind of marketing material to present at a town
What if we
council.
just did the digital images for the town council meeting? And then, because at some point, we're selling it to the town council and other key stakeholders, and then there's another step where we have to sell it to the town. Maybe use the more dynamic products for when we have to have some people voting on a referendum. Whereas if we have a smaller group of people that don't necessarily need the printings or like the large poster board, but have the digital version, which I'm sure we'd still be paying them. And I don't know that a PDF is that dynamic either. Like, I almost wonder as architects that they must have another, I don't know this I don't know that craft at all, but maybe something more like 3D that they could show,
Oh,
that we could
that is-
show.
That's extremely expensive.
even the digital
Yeah,
version.
no, the 3D is just like they're asking for them basically for construction, that would be outrageous in terms of what we want. I mean, if we want to get to that point where we want to have something laying on the front table when we're going to referendum, that's when you consider that kind of thing.
Right.
But you know, unfortunately, we're still several steps away from
Right.
a referendum or the
I'm thinking
actual.
about the money that the town has set aside, if we use a lot of that for paying for this, then we wouldn't be able to use it later. Might we want to use that? Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but
But, and I'm not sure how long that money, what the longevity of that little account is either. You know.
We have the other wrinkle to consider here. We have the library committee that was not decommissioned when the permanent building committee was established. However, the permanent building committee is not in place. Once that happens, when they are fully vested, our committee really goes by the wayside. That's what the vote was. We could be decommissioned because all building projects will now run through that permanent building commission. Therefore, the concept that we bring to them will be developed. And again, we have we have people who will be able to sit on one that serves for the library. However, it becomes an entirely different committee that is addressing it as well as changes are encountered. If you were in town when the town hall was put forward, the drawings that you saw that were distributed look very different. It's like the concept that this was going to be a walk-through campus from out our door and across the way. Well, if you go across the hallway now, or across the road now, and you hit that door, you don't walk all the way through. It's a little rabbit warren of things. Things changed as they built the building. So it's not, again, it's what it could be, not what it will be. You do have to have some visuals. The architectural that you're talking about in terms of a 3D, that's a wonderful model. A lot of it is in movies. They have somebody selling something on Hallmark and, the guy's he says he whipped it up. Well, that is quite an expensive project. The PDFs, again, something in your hand. I guess what I'm thinking is you can have a PDF, we can give a presentation. But it would be nice to have something, whether it's a pamphlet or whether it's a lookbook, and I think just something that's just hits you with, these people are serious. They want to go forward. We want to show our intent is to be serious. We've gone down this road several times and we get to here and then we get stopped. If we have something like, okay, we are serious about this. The money that's left in this account, again, you're talking about a different committee. I'm sure I don't know the intricacies of the funding, but that's an entirely different committee than what we're talking about right now.
And
we have to be-
that money may go.
It might,
Elsewhere.
the town council can deem to take that away. It's money they allocated, but it could go away. So,
it needs to be spent.
I hate to say it needs to be spent, but let's use it if we can try and bring ourselves farther down the process. This is my own personal feeling. As to the costs, I get what you're saying, Anna, but I can tell you from being in the business for years, architects are not cheap.
Right.
And this is not an uncommon thing, and we are not in a place where if you're in a building project, typically the architect or the construction manager is getting a percentage of the cost. They have no percentage to go by here. They have to bill by billable hours. And it's like going to a lawyer.
Scott, did you have a question? I thought I saw something.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm sort of walking the journey of learning all of this, so although it's happened several times for a decade, it's all new to me. What I heard from Andy, not personally, just from the emails, was what is the project exactly? It doesn't seem like it's defined enough to put it into a book and start handing it out to people and showing them what our vision is, when the vision still seems a little blurry. And I don't like the idea of selling someone something that's not concrete, I understand there's always gonna be moving parts to this. But I would like to provide people, if it's the town council or whomever, with something that's more ready than like a jumping off point. That's not the right.
I think
Phrase,
we're a little past the jumping off point. I mean, the vision is to expand the library.
Yeah, but I guess that, at least from what I got from Andy's email, the details of that are still not.
Well, it's because it didn't have everything that he wanted in it. Right? The things
And my-
that he wanted.
And not to interrupt you, but my point is, that's still a question, and I'm still waiting to hear the answer to that. Not what Andy wants or doesn't want, or is he gonna get nothing? That's still a question that I haven't heard the board answer, is us as a group in our direction. I still hear confusion in a couple different directions, so I think it's hard to put this book out with that. So
Okay,
Andy's going to
I'm just going to be obtuse.
Yeah, please.
I
It's confusing enough
can't-
without.
I don't understand where the question is about our vision. We know this is not what Andrew Berman is giving us, is not what is going to be built. That's not how the world works. We were all involved peripherally or otherwise with the town hall. I mean, I remember attending so many meetings, you know, and just with the architect being at every single meeting or two representatives from his firm, you know, at town council meetings and committee meetings. That couldn't have been for nothing, you know.
I don't know.
I think that we just can't be talking about this for another 6 months or another year.
Why?
Now, because it's been,
Well, we've had meetings.
I was on the
Those
committee,
meetings.
Leanne, and I was on the
She's
committee in
coming back.
2015.
To the firm and say, these were the changes that we need and we would like to put it into place as to what it should be. He wants it to be like some outer space thing. I mean, literally some of the things that he was talking about, I was like, you gotta be joking me. I mean, at the meetings,
I totally
okay?
agree, but
But what I'm saying is that what she's bringing for him to make the changes is what we've asked them to do.
Right.
To make it
It's
to
not-
what we want and wish for. So that's the step that's taking place, okay?
so I,
So that's what I, that's.
So it really is consensus, the changes that we
Right.
asked him for, we've discussed.
Right.
I,
so, but I guess.
Right.
ad
That's what I'm
nauseam
saying.
to, you know, present these to LDS. Andrew Brecker, our Andrew, has a different vision.
Well, so that's what I don't understand. So as a committee, wouldn't it be the committee's vision?
Yeah.
Is there a,
That's what LDS is working.
That's what they're working.
so Andy's concerned though that this isn't included and this isn't included. That's wrong. That's not, it's the committee's concern.
Those are his.
Those are
It's
his-
not that it's not a concern, we've all discussed them. And maybe
But-
this is the segue into discussing, did you all read Andy's email?
Yes,
Does anybody have any particular thoughts on that? He
I
wasn't,
have
he
lots of
said that
thoughts.
he.
I just don't, I wish he was here to explain a lot of his thoughts. So I can have some perspective on it,
Yeah.
because I wasn't here for the last.
Thought it was aggressive.
Up to that.
first of all,
Pardon me?
I thought it was pretty aggressive, and I thought it was,
He wants to take over, as I read it, and maybe I'm misreading.
Right. well, he wants to be put in charge
He wants
To
to
control it
mentor. He
and
wants to
to,
mentor us, and be in
Take over.
charge of the whole thing, and
I can understand you have ideas, I can understand you have ideas, which you have brought forth. And which we've talked about, and you're now bringing them to have those changes made.
we are.
So-
We're an entity as a board of directors,
Right.
we're a group. Hopefully, any final product that we put forward, whether it's be for an expansion or a race thought or something, we would want to hopefully speak as one voice. But that, again, majority, it's a
Right.
majority vote, so to speak. I'm personally opposed to Andy's proposal. not about the telescope or those stuff, I mean, those are all nice things to have. I'm totally opposed to him taking over this whole thing. It has nothing to do with me being the chairman, that has nothing, this is a board issue. And, to be our mentor, to have the hubris to think that his leadership is, better.
So
And I'm saying this, and Andy, if you're listening, I know you said you weren't calling in, but if you're listening, with all due respect, this is not a committee of one. This is many voices that have to be in agreement.
I never got any of that impression personally. It doesn't matter who wrote it. It could be any one of you. I don't really know that much about any one of you. So Andy, if any one of you wrote that email, I would have said the same thing. The chairwoman's email was yes or no, blah, 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 blah. And everybody came in with 3, 4, 5, 6 sentence answer as to why they would or wouldn't, and it was supposed to be yes or no. So when I wasn't gonna chime in with a bunch of questions, that wasn't the purpose of that email. When I read what everybody had to say, and I read what Andy had to say, it was an easy no. We have to get together and talk about this, at least from where I sit as one trustee. I needed to sit down and have this conversation, and I would love for Andy to be here to have it with him, get his perspective on it too.
You didn't get his perspective from his email? That wasn't.
I need an explanation as to how he got to that point, because he was referencing things that were decided before I got here. And I needed to know sort of the backstory as to how you guys got to this. Maureen, you just said a bunch of things about Andy taking the thing over and stuff, and that's out of left field for me. I don't know anything about that. I'm just trying to get some perspective.
So it's there. He wants to be in charge. That's what it says. There's sentences in here. He wants to take over and be put in charge.
Oh, that I didn't take that on.
Well, that's, where is it? Well, it's in here somewhere. There's like a whole sentence. Well, put me in, basically, I want it. Put me in charge.
You know, he's proposed.
Forgot where it was.
Well, just for what the question was that was emailed to us, you support it or not. I thought Andy, without having the perspective, I guess I thought Andy's questions were deserving of an answer. And so I guess I got it. So thank you.
So, well, I think there's all sorts of questions and answers going on. Did you see, were you at the meeting? Did you see and have copies of the drawings and renditions, or did you not get them? Okay.
That's the first meeting I joined.
Okay.
I got that.
And so I know that's a lot to absorb. I was just trying to see if I could quickly pull it up on my laptop and throw it up on the screen so you could see the picture to remember that. I don't know
I
if
brought
that's
it with me.
in your
Just in
in
case
the top of your mind or not. I think, and I'll just share my feelings. I would like to get something besides words and we're gonna and need it in front of town council while they're making all these other spending decisions, or we're not going to be weighted as heavily, considered as seriously. This is my personal opinion. If we don't have something to grab their interest, and it can't just be a 30-page document, and it can't be fighting back and forth. It has to be something that says, oh, because I don't know, are people thinking that it's gonna be another brick building? You know, are we just gonna build brick out to the side, and what could it be like? What does it look like? I was impressed with that first rendering of what it could be based on the space that we own and some of the prerequisites that we have. But we pretty much kept that to ourselves, and I'd like a way to get that information out to town council, to key stakeholders and what have you. I'd like to do it in a way that's less expensive. Something like this on cardstock to print out, first of all, I think it's too small to really show the diagram or whatever that's going on, and then you have to unfold it. From a printing standpoint, that becomes expensive. So what we were trying to do was to get something, right, 8.5 by 11, that's not a fancy cut of paper. It can be, it doesn't have to be cheap paper from my printer, right? So, staples in the middle, it's got enough of, you know, a landscape vision to show something front and back. It would incorporate some of the designs, because again, my feeling, and I think the feeling after our meeting back in September was, if we go with a rendering that we already know has some potholes in it, if you will, right? That open atrium, the skylights instead of things, those could be good fixes, good things to take out, that doesn't allow somebody to say, they can't be serious, look at that. They say they need room, but look at all this wasted space. They say, you know, we've got problems with the atrium and now they're putting in more skylights. Where's this gonna be? Where's that gonna be? Right? So this is coming from me, what I think, what I would like to see. I would like to see us get something in front of town council and in front of key stakeholders, and something that is not only a presentation, but they can go back to, right? Because you meet with town council as a whole, but each, you know, the Republicans and the Democrats are gonna go back, and it'd be a lot easier for them if they don't say, well, do you remember the poster that was there? Does anybody know where the poster is? Right? What's happening? If they have something that they can refer to, this is my thought. Do I want to spend an incredible amount of money on it? No. Do I want to print 25 copies of it? No. I want to print a couple hundred copies of it, but my idea is it's key stakeholders first, right? It's every one of us. And then if you're meeting with somebody, you know, I think of our race sponsors, right? I want them to see what we're thinking about, and where we're going and what goes on there, and it grows from that end. We don't have final decisions. We don't have final square footage. We don't have buy-in from the town yet to even go to referendum. So those are all things that we need, but I think the way we get from here and just discussing what it could be to sharing what it could be and getting buy-in from the larger audience is to advertise it in this way. And that's what I would like to see happen. That's what I think we need to do. I don't know, there's frustration. We've heard in other meetings, you know, the frustration on Andy's point with, you know, trying to get going and going through. I think there's frustration with many of the board members that have been here for years that we're still at this point. What's gonna make it different tonight? Are we gonna table it? I'm not opposed to more conversation, but are we gonna table things and go back, or what's gonna happen from that end? I know Anna's waiting to say something else, but that's kind of where I'm coming from on this and where it's going up. I apologize. I had sent out, as you said, asking for a vote, thinking that people were, I didn't put enough information in. I didn't go through the history, which is why I pulled it back. I was trying to keep things moving because we had spoken to them, explained what our needs were, and got some pricing back from them, and I didn't want their focus to lapse, which is why I was trying to send out that email vote. But I quickly saw from what came back with a couple of questions and clarifications that I had gone too quickly into that mode and the email was too short. So hold it back. I think the discussion here tonight is good. If we have to continue discussing it, I would say we need to call, you know, a special meeting to discuss it and get it nailed down so that we're in agreement with what we're doing and how we're moving forward.
And also need to put a stop on anything that Leslie and Andrew may have already started. That's their time and billable hours, you know, they're,
I don't think they would have gone far without our.
no, but I'm sure there's been some thought, you know.
Yeah, well,
And, I don't know, I must be misreading Andy
No.
Brecker's email. I would just ask that you maybe reread it again, Scott.
and I wanna let Anna speak and I wanna let Pauline speak again. Anna's been very patient.
Yeah, thank you, Diane. So, there's 2 points. The first point is about the changes that Andy keeps referring to that, are missing, and it's not just his changes, because after that first review, and you know, we've been talking about this so long, I can't remember what transpired because there's been such a gap. But I had also submitted some items for that list for changes. And I know
In the law.
in the feasibility study, the reimagining document. And I mean, I read it a couple of times. I went through it in detail at one point. And, and now all that information just escapes me. But I cannot recall going back and being able to validate that even my requested changes were in that list, were incorporated. So, you know,
A lot of,
so
All the information was shared.
no, wait a minute, so are you talking about the changes to the Word portion of the document? Or are you talking about changes to the architectural rendering?
the Word portion of the document.
Okay, and the Word first portion of the document is not what's being printed at this point.
I realize that, but it incorporates part of the vision for what Andrew is doing. Then to go back to something that you said and Christine said regarding Andrew Berman. And he coming here and I didn't even know, well, maybe I did know a little bit, but you know, he came into the site visit and everything else. And he walked away and took that information and envisioned what he thought we wanted. But, you know, in my mind, shame on him that he didn't pick up the phone and call Maureen and say, so I'm at this point and, you know, I'm putting in skylights. Is that the direction you want me to go in? I mean, did he even ask that question? Because if he didn't say, do you want skylights or do you want solar panels? I mean, that, to me, that would have been a question he would have asked when he was meeting with the committee and determining the scope of what was.
I don't think there was that specificity.
I can speak to that because I was at the walkthrough, and what we primarily did was walk him through the existing building. Showed him our space constraints and everything else, talked about the need to keep the facade, the front facade. Light was a big topic. That's where the skylights come from. We didn't say we want skylight. We told them about the skylight issues. And again, they've come back and told us that skylights are something that have been definitely very different from what 1989 skylights are. We just have a very bad experience. So we have that thing hanging over our head. But in terms of light, we kept talking about light being needed. And so that's a concept. When you start out in conceptual with the architect, they're not asking you how many windows you want or if you want skylights. They're taking what you've given them of what your needs are, and then they come up with a concept. And that's what this is. We're in concept land now. And that was his concept to address the needs that we talked about: spaces, children's area, parking, outside areas,
Natural light.
a natural light, and potential of various multi-purpose areas. I mean, those were the kind of concepts we gave them. They were very general. An architect is typically, I mean, if you're putting it up in your house and you're putting on an addition and now you're talking about skylights versus larger windows in the back part of the house, yes, you're talking about it, then you're getting closer to what the builder's going to actually build. What we were telling them was what we needed to do, what we needed in place versus what we have. And this was his concept of that. And now we came back and said, okay, that's great. This is overwhelming in terms of what you've done. This is great. But the atrium, we're concerned now that's when somebody like a Laurel, who dealt with an atrium in work and knew about the noise situation and the control, she brought up the noise aspect that we weren't all thinking about. That was not mentioned to him at the beginning. It was about light being brought back into the lower level. So we made the change there. We didn't say to them, we want an atrium or we don't want an atrium. So that's where you start. This is what they drew based on what we said our general goals and needs were. And now we came back and tweaked it. That's where we are at the point with the architect. And they are not contracted to build the building. So you're not working on a percentage basis, you're working on an hourly basis.
But to that point, he came and got a concept and talking to everybody, what your ideas were. He interpreted your concept incorrectly.
I don't think so. If I was to be
No, because then they brought it and then we said, change that, do this, do that. So then it was our choices to make changes to what the information that he was given. Right?
Yeah, he was not given, we want an atrium, or we don't want skylights, or we don't want an atrium. What we were given was, this is our, primarily, he was looking, we came in with generalities, very general specifics. We said, this is what we have, the town would like us to keep the front facade, we're looking for light and space and utilization, this is what we have. We went out and walked the property so that he could turn around and say, okay, this is what we can put on this footprint.
All right, wait a minute, you just said the town wants to keep the front
No,
facade,
yeah.
isn't that something that we want?
We took that, meaning, we felt as, this was one of the things that we had as a consensus before we went in, is that we felt that the board
Okay,
would
you didn't say that,
prefer,
wait, that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
we would like to keep the front facade for the historical look.
Okay,
And then I just also want to remind folks that at one of the meetings, when we felt that this was dragging on, we had discussed, why don't we just do the lookbook with the information that they presented? And it was discussed and felt at that time that we needed to get closer. And that's when we went for the pricing for the new renderings. So we can go with the old stuff that we have, or we can hire them to update the designs closer to where we want to be. And at that time, it was said, let's go closer to where we want to be, let's get the pricing for that, we got the pricing for that, and the local and going through. Could be right, could be wrong.
And it's that money. It's not the lookbook, it's really the redesign. I mean, it's
The
concept. I
rendering
mean,
and
it's-
prep, yeah, the next. The next rendering for
Well,
information.
the board, would have to decide. Board decision. I think that I've been involved in library expansion since 2015, where we had the first building committee established. And then when the town hall was being built, we were not disbanded, but pushed by the wayside. That took priority.
We were postponed, we weren't part of it.
And, that committee still exists on paper, but we don't, the new committee's been formed. Speaking of the new committee, James, did he approach you, Lisa? That Joe Harvey, who was one of the, committee members, so that's been officially appointed, right, Dave?
Yes.
He is requesting a meeting with the library about expansion. And he wanted to include Downs construction. Now that's pretty forward. I mean, we don't even have something that, we're not ready to build. So I really don't know what the meeting is. We've asked, through Lisa, that we get an agenda. We just don't want to say, okay, Joe, we'll meet with you in Downs construction. Joe, I don't know if people know, Joe Harvey is somebody who's been involved in the town forever and ever, and he was chairperson of the town hall building committee, I believe.
Downs was the construction company.
Yeah, and he's been around for a long time.
We don't want that mess. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So, but he's requesting a meeting with us. Again, we're not sure the reason, so we're going back to James to, as the
Yeah, I thought that
engineer.
was.
Hmm?
I thought that was odd. I mean, at
Or-
first I thought it was just Joe Harvey, but then he said down
Down
construction.
construction.
I know nothing about
No,
it.
no, I don't, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying.
I'm not
I
sure
thought
it's
that
a
was odd.
formal
But
town thing, but we are asking for an agenda. We want to know what he wants to discuss.
I think with an agenda, we can figure out, is it, one or two people, what people, is it
the whole
Yeah,
committee or whatever.
is it just Joe and Diane?
So
or Joe-
I kind of want to get a consensus and a feeling, so, I'll start with you, but my goal is to find out if, have we discussed this, do we know, are we ready to take a vote at some point,
I just
so.
have one more comment.
Yep, go ahead, make your comment, and then let me know how you feel about a vote.
Thank you. So if this new rendering is as Leanne says, it's going to incorporate some of the more recent adaptations, getting rid of the skylights and putting on the solar panels, but if it's drawn so that with the agreement in mind that it's still a rendering, it's not, this is not essentially what the end product would look like, that things can change as you continue to move forward with the process, then I guess I can support it, because if things are missing, they could be added
Yes.
in the next phase.
And you also have to remember too, and I don't mean to just jump in here, but remember, we're taking this as a library board with a recommendation of this rendering. The ultimate decision is gonna fall with this permanent building committee. By the time we get to the point where we're at referendum, hopefully, I would assume that the town council will have appointed all of the necessary folks on this, and then they are the committee. And then we have the ability to put a couple of people on there. But it's not us making the
Ultimate.
ultimate decisions. You have a building committee who is charged to do that.
Or, and if I may add, if, let's just say this is ready to go and it's gonna cost $20 million. The town can look at it and say, well, we're gonna go to referendum, but for 15 million. There's those types of changes that you have to account for as well. I think, didn't the town all come in at one price and
Well,
I mean, there's always change
changes
orders.
have to be
during-
made to work with the budget.
Right, so you have that budget constraint, and then, of course, once the project is being done, there's change orders that are done, additional monies may have to be spent, but that's just typical. That's not anything extraordinary, but,
All right, so Leanne, are you at a point where you would be ready to make a vote? I would like to, yes, I am. I'm at a discussion, you're ready to make a vote? Yeah. Maureen, how do you stand on this? Have you had a discussion? Are you ready to make a vote one way or the other?
yes, because right now we're voting on spending money to have.
Yeah,
The town's money, it's not our money.
Right.
Yeah.
it's still.
I don't know about you, but I put my money into it.
But it's our money, it's our money, it's our money.
Yes, I had one
Comments
comment, can we comment? Andrew Brecker. We had a discussion, as to a lot of the stuff that he had wanted, and we basically told him that a good portion of it was pie in the sky. We didn't think it would fly. And he hasn't let go of it. For what we're doing now, yes, we have to go that one step farther, to make sure the building is closer to what we want. As you went, Scott, with the town hall, did you see the original rendering? An absolutely gorgeous rendering. I would have loved it. The building connected from the library to the town hall connected to the senior center, the police, everything was gonna be
The
beautiful.
campus.
And then the budget came in.
Yeah.
And then the budget came in, and the budget came in, and the budget came in. So from the beautiful thing I would have loved, down to what we got, that is what we're worried about. So, Andy's gonna be beautiful, everything.
And he still might get it.
He might get some,
No.
but for what we're doing now,
But to that point, they started here and they went to this. If we start here and don't go for this, we're gonna get even, we're,
What we don't have in there is the. On the list of things that are missing, we're still at the conceptual reimagining design, this is what it can look like, this is what's going on. We're not telling them how big our collection has to be, we're not telling them,
no, but we
how
have,
many music rooms we need or the other things. Just saying, if this is our space, this is what we can put in.
but we need to be able to sell what that space is. This is what we're envisioning. This is what we are reimagining for our library of the future. You know, not just status quo, but, you know, ukulele lessons. You know, maybe we have a music room at some
Well,
point, you
and
know, but we.
And I think that's
we have-
part of our narrative, and I think what we say is, what's your impression of a library, what goes on? Many people think a library is where you go in and you check out a book and you hope that you're not paying your late fees. And there's some other people that realize that there's not only books, there's movies and things are, you know, in a old fashioned format, they're in the new digital formats, they can be all sorts of things. But did you know we also have ukuleles? Did you know we also have lawn equipment that can?
Hotspots.
What do you do with the hotspot? What we know now is that what we need to be is flexible, so we need to have rooms that can accommodate a ukulele lesson one day and something else another day. We need to have this, that's our narrative, that's what goes in. We don't say, I need this here and that there and the other thing here, because we're still at the renderings and trying to figure it out. It is part of our job as the board to work with the library and to work with the town to figure out what those are gonna be. But my feeling is if we don't get in front of this now with some visuals for people to attach their mind to, it's gonna be. We know the library is crowded, but look at John Wallace. We know the library is crowded, but the fire station. We know the library is crowded, but, right, so, but if we give something to them that they can put their minds to. Besides just they need something. If they can see what it could be like, if they could see the change of the environment, how it does become more of a community space, how it does serve some of those other things, then I think we're better off to get something in front of them. It's gonna take a while to get that final design, so I'm sorry.
So that's all right, but maybe what we should be doing as we do this rendering process is also come up with a narrative of these are the potential uses for the space. We're not and we push that message that it's, you know, it's possible to be, you know, if we have this space, these are the things that we envision that we can
Yes.
do there.
This is not an end product, this is a. Get the attention, this is advertisement, this is an attention. It's time for people to sit up and take notice because we're serious.
It's a Super Bowl ad.
Right, I get that, but we still need some of that pie in the sky.
Right,
area.
and
Yes.
Leslie's piece is to provide narrative to speak to the design. And then when we're speaking to individuals, to embellish that.
And the formal proposal will be much more in depth. Colleen, did you said what you wanted to
Yes,
say?
and I'm ready to vote.
Okay, Christine.
Yes.
I mean, the look did it, but I like the verbal. So you're ready to make a vote, Fiona?
See, yes.
Yeah, okay. That's it. All right,
Anybody left?
no, there's
Would you
still
like
nobody
me to
else
motion?
online. Yes, I need a motion now.
We have a forum.
Pardon?
We have a forum.
Yes, we do.
I make a motion that we authorize a purchase order to Library Development Solutions for the not to exceed of $5,000. And a purchase order to Andrew Berlin Architect for a purchase order total of the $6,550 for the concept design revision and the concept design lookbook for $13,350. For the, I'm sorry, the concept design lookbook was the $13,350 and the concept design revision was the $6,500.
So for the updated renderings and.
Yes,
um,
updating renderings and.
$19,900.
For a total, yeah, that could be one purchase order now, right?
Well, no, two
No,
vendors.
okay, no, two vendors, no, I'm talking about the two concepts can go to Berman together.
Right,
That's okay, so a purchase order to Andrew Berman for the total proposal, and then,
5,000.
5,000 to the LDS for, for the not to exceed for the, proposal for the local preparation and writing. And the conceptual design for Andrew Berman. Well, that was along with that, okay. Did everybody get that? All right, okay. Any further discussion? Yes, I know.
Okay.
So do I have a second for that? Christine Shushan seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries forward unanimously. Thank you, folks. I know that was rough. I think that we're gonna have a lot of lively discussions over this as we go forward. Hope that we continue moving forward somewhat smoothly in here, but it is good to have the discussions, and it is good if I try to rush and I go too quick, you guys can call me on it. It's like, oh, slow down.
I just make a comment too, that I think once you have the visual, that's where we can start talking about, this is what you can do with this space, because I think. If they could see the space and then you start talking about, we can change it to do this one day and the next day we can do this, and like you said, it's gonna be. Forward thinking services, really, that's what it comes down to, a lot of it's gonna be services. But if they can see the space and see how you can switch it out, I mean, when East Hartford had their renovation, and we went to see it. If you look at their maker space, it looks like, just like almost like a kind of a teen area a little bit. Then you start shifting everything around, and next thing you know, it's their big maker space, and they do it out in the open. But I'm just saying that people can't visualize that until you show them something. And then when you're talking about what we can do, I don't think you want to have all that in print anyway in something smaller that you're handing out, because they're not going to read all that. They're going to be looking at the picture first. And then that's where we come in and start doing the presentations and showing them this is what we can do.
And I think it's important when we reach that point where we're, and we don't have to wait for the lookbook, but to talk to town councilors and other stakeholders. Meriden is in the process of a renovation, and several of us went to a meeting about and had a tour, and it was just a really early construction. It's, you know, the visual is, I'm sure Leanne saw it differently than I did. I just saw the holes.
Steel girders and no walls.
I think what I came away that was so positive from that meeting. The library board, the town manager, the town councilors. And other stakeholders, they were of one mind. And they were so enthusiastic. The mayor was there as well. And they all just were thrilled about the whole project. You know, it wasn't like the town manager was there, but the mayor, well, you know, there were no holes. So I think that's something that we need to do too, to make sure that everybody is on the same page and enthusiastic about it.
Thank you. Okay, so believe it or not, we still have a few more items left on the agenda, so we'll try to go through them, give them the time that they deserve, but move on. So thank you everyone for your time and attention on this. And next up is fund development with Anna Eddy.
No report.
That works. Nominations, Maureen.
No.
Okay, communications committee, Christine. And good one together.
Now I got to
So obviously, Nona and Christina work together on it.
So I sent the SLIVA blurb to a couple of different publications. Lisa gave me contact information. I have not seen it anywhere, and I keep checking, but maybe I'm not seeing or checking the right time. I know Newington like only comes out monthly. I
My
think.
suggestion too
Yes.
is like your reminder,
Yeah.
just keep sending it
Okay.
and eventually they'll pick it up.
Eventually, it's in.
And the other thing is, I don't know if Bailey got pictures. That's always a nice, they might be more apt to pick it up if you submit a picture with it. So
Right.
let me ask her.
Okay.
But with Rare Reminder, sometimes it's a more than one submission.
Okay. I did receive response from the other two saying,
Yeah,
yes, we'll
Newington
post
might-
it. Yes,
right,
they were great. So I was hoping to have something tonight to show that it was published, but I don't have anything. So next meeting I will have some.
When is Newington Lights publication?
Well, it should. It
It's
should be
once a
coming out
month.
soon. Yeah, it's once a month.
I don't know. Yeah, it should be soon.
Yeah, it should.
I'll look and see. Yeah.
We'll send out the link. We'll send out the link.
Yeah.
And they're good.
Yeah. That's all I have. That's all.
Thank you. Any questions for communication? If you did. Okay, next up is old business, Hale.
Anna and I met with her theater, in the community theater. With one of their representatives, and they do they have an improv program that they do. And we showed her, we talked about what we have done in the past and what we would, what the capabilities are from the Hale programming. We told her we had an improv previously, and the whole library was used, and she was not interested at that point in going upstairs. She thought that their group would use the main level. At any rate, we had a nice meeting with her, and then she sent us a follow-up email saying that she met with her board or whomever, and they would not be able to accommodate us because of other projects. I mean, they do one big musical a year. And then they do. Neither of us had ever heard of it. Well, and I need to start updating about them. And it's not disparaging, I have been or was involved in community theater from the early 70s through a long time. And I don't do anything active right now, but I'm certainly involved with the people and organizations, and I know what's going on, and I never heard of them. Ever. So I contacted Pam and Bob. These are people that Dave and I know from the theater, are very active. And Bob knew nothing about them. And Pam, Dio, Bob and Pam Dio, Pam is very involved in the theater, both as a director and actress and everything. And she knew just what they told us, that they do one big musical a year. She said it's kind of a closed organization. They're not interested. I guess other theater people in the area have approached them to either become involved or whatever, and they're not
So it's not a good fit for us.
welcome.
Well, it was probably a good thing that.
Right, so although regardless of whether, they told us they couldn't do it, I wasn't that impressed. But I have a different viewpoint about a lot of these things because of my involvement with the years.
I think he was just too. She presented herself as being,
Right,
more of a
we've
decision
got a
maker.
couple of decisions, right? So
So
we're
we-
looking to do one or two programs this year. and
So we sent information to Lisa and Karen. One of them was, there's a Hartford performance database. And it's more geared to children. And there's nothing that says that we can't do a children thing. And they're interested in, a couple of things jumped out at them. And they're waiting for feedback from the children's department to see if it can fit in.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at that stage with that. The other idea from Karen is that looking at the different events and programming that are happening throughout the year. So we had, one of the suggestions that we had made when our initial email was to do a holiday concert. And early December is good for them. And since we're still getting our feet wet back into different events to go with somebody that we've already used, that we ended up. So this person, so the Larry Garreau Quartet, Larry is a professor over at CCSU. I just happened to hear Larry's group on Sunday and he's like, he's.
And we had to cancel because of.
Yeah, he was scheduled in 2020 to come in December 2020, and we had to cancel him because of COVID. So I just think it would be the right thing to do is to hire him again. And he's actually gotten better.
So were you able to reach out to him and find out if his schedule lines up with our schedule?
She has not done that yet because we didn't have permission to move forward yet. I didn't get a consensus from everybody on the committee that said, oh, yes, let's go get Larry.
I think it's a good idea. I also have been given some other names from my contacts that, I'm not saying I haven't contacted them, but there are other people that we can.
If we do the children's program, the one thing is like we might need to do it at the senior center, because they need a gym, they need a bigger space. If it's kind of somewhat interactive, which I think would be great.
And we've used other.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
The senior
Is
center.
there a charge?
I don't think they charge us, they might charge us for the person in the building, but maybe not.
And I think Karen can find out from Larry if his dates meet up with their dates. And if he's not available, well, then we can pursue.
There's other possibilities.
For Christmas concert.
I think we need to get back on the horse.
And twice a year, I think we could discuss that. That's,
What is in the?
It was-
That's what's in the proposal.
Right.
We
and initially
decided
we
that
did two
with-
and then.
We did two, somehow we lost track along the years, and it ended up being one, and then we went back and were reading.
And then when we had our
When we had our
anniversary.
80th, we had 80.
Eight.
Eight. It felt like eight.
Felt like eight.
It felt like eight. We had 8 events, and so those 8 events carry us through the COVID years. But it is time for us to get back and do that, so. Sounds like you have a couple of potentials, we're gonna check dates, and if that's it, then we'll look for. a formal
So
approval.
we'll either get a confirmation from Larry or a nay, and then we can move forward.
Yeah, confirmation that he's available on those prices.
And then what we can do with the children's, I still think we're gonna probably have to wait till like fall, maybe for our children's, but. We can talk to Bailey and maybe plan something over there once, people get settled back in the.
I like the idea of the children's.
Yeah, we're trying to get it a little bit more all ages.
Everybody good with what's discussed so far, happy? And so I see no reason to not make those phone calls and try to figure it out, and good to go back. Great, thank you for doing all that work. For you guys and for you guys, I appreciate both sides of that. Open board positions, we mentioned briefly that, we have some corporate positions and some town committee positions. There was an interview done by Pat on one of the corporate positions, and we'll have to go into an executive session to discuss that and then bring that forward. We'll do that on Zoom. We tried to get it on Connect meeting, but my wires got crossed, so.
The Republican Town Committee is meeting this Thursday over in Suffolk.
I mean, we're,
I have a recording.
you know,
I will.
it's nice to have more people on the board and involved, and
I know.
it's nice to have a voice, especially if you guys are thin. Town council. Okay, so, excuse me. So we're trying to figure out that Zoom meeting, new business, excuse me. Any new business?
You have a target date for that, the meeting?
Yeah, so what are people's schedules like? Excuse me. I'd like to do it sooner rather than for which means.
Oh, an executive session.
Executive session to talk about the candidates interview.
Pick a date, I'll do the rest.
Okay, well, I can tell you I cannot do Wednesday or Thursday of this week. I could do tomorrow.
I'm something here.
Which I was in here. But it's that. Yeah.
It's also Valentine's Day.
Yes, and he hates his birthdays.
Oh, yeah, so not tomorrow, not Wednesday, not Thursday. Okay. I have another meeting next Monday, but.
It's Tuesday,
Maybe.
Alright.
I can do Tuesday.
Think I can do this.
It's like taking a turn.
Tuesday, the 21st,
Yes.
I have a game.
The 21st.
Yeah, at the Expo Center versus St. John's.
Okay, so
I am.
Thursday.
Wednesday, the 22nd is fine, 23rd is fine. Wednesday, Friday, 24th is fine, 25th, Saturday is fine.
So for me, Thursdays, I have a late night call. I call down to New Zealand for business on Thursday nights. So
That's right.
that's a better. It's a lot of fun.
Better what?
So it would be better for me not to have it on a Thursday, or else I have to start maybe at 7:30.
You won't have a deadline with this, the committee, is there a deadline?
No.
Candidate?
No, but once you've interviewed somebody, it would be nice to be able to get back to them, you know, relatively soon.
That's the meeting with most. How's the 22nd, Wednesday?
You don't do, that's not too far out.
That's one thing.
Okay, I can just tell you ahead of time. Okay.
Yeah, I can do Wednesday.
I think I can do 22nd.
Yes, that's good.
Okay,
Okay,
22nd is fine.
Wednesday, the 22nd, we'll do a Zoom meeting,
At what?
starting at. We
I was
start
gonna
at
say, what's the
7:00
earliest?
7
Working
you
people
said
to do
over
that.
Zoom.
Over Zoom. Is 7 good for folks? 7, give you time to.
I'm gonna be done. It'll be 50-50.
Oh,
You're gonna be gone somewhere?
Yes, I'm leaving Friday for,
So,
Where you going now?
just a road trip.
okay,
Whether she attends or not.
when did we say?
Boy, this was the year to do those road trips with the weather.
Okay,
Thank you.
new business, then it's
Oh.
public participation, I don't see anybody here for public participation. No, any last thoughts? All right, I would entertain a motion for adjournment after thanking everybody for this.
Second.
And